Hello everyone, it's me Josie and welcome back to my channel. Now, as you probably know, I love all things Disney. Stories such as The Little Mermaid, Rapunzel, Snow White, Cinderella, they all came from much darker, old traditional stories written by authors such as Hans Christian Andersen and the Grimm brothers. So today I thought I would start a brand new series on my channel and delve into some of those original darker stories that you may not know. So as The Little Mermaid is one of my favourite Disney films, I thought I would go straight in and talk about The Little Mermaid. Originally, this story was written by Hans Christian Andersen, and to be honest, I actually think I prefer the original story. However, if you are a huge fan of Disney's The Little Mermaid, this original story may not quite be your cup of tea, as it has got some dark elements to it. So just like Disney's version of The Little Mermaid, The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen follows a young princess mermaid who destines for more than life in the sea. As a young mermaid, she hears stories about life on land from her grandma and from her sisters, and this whole world just intrigues her. However, her reasons for wanting to live on land are much deeper than the Disney's version. In the original story, The Little Mermaid starts off at the age of 10, and they have a rule in the underwater kingdom that you can't come to the surface until 15. So she just listens to stories from her grandma and from her sisters that are older than her, and she is so intrigued by this idea of this whole world above the sea that she becomes absolutely fascinated with it, and she can't wait until she is old enough to go up to the rocks and stare out onto the human world. Finally, she turns 15, and when she goes up to the surface, she does indeed save a young man, just like in the Disney film. She becomes so intrigued by the idea of saving this person, she goes back down and asks her grandma what would have happened if she hadn't have saved him. And this is where the really important part of the story comes in that is hugely different from the Disney film. So mermaids live for about 300 years, and even though they live for so long, they don't have immortal souls. So when they do die after 300 years, they literally just cease to exist. However, the Little Mermaid's grandma explains to her that when humans die, their souls reach up to the sky and live there on forever. This fascinates the Little Mermaid even more, so her drive to live on land is actually more to do with living forever and not just ceasing to exist. And I love this message because it's so deep, and if you really think about it, probably resonates with quite a lot of us. The Little Mermaid soon finds out that if you can make a human fall in love with you as a mermaid, even more than their parents, then this rule would kind of be obliterated, and that you two could live forever and have your soul live on forever. So once the Little Mermaid finds this out and discovers this little fact, she becomes motivated to try and fall in love with a human. In the book, it is written that humans would never fall in love with a mermaid because, number one, they're two different species, and also because, and I love this, that it's written that humans find mermaid fintails disgusting. So because of this, the Little Mermaid soon realizes she has no choice but to try and become a human herself, and so goes to visit the Sea Witch. And this next bit is very similar, except that the trade that they make is slightly different. So one similarity that is exactly the same with both stories is that the Little Mermaid does in fact give up her voice to the Sea Witch. Unlike in the Disney film, this lovely, beautiful, metaphorical way of the voice leaving her throat and going into a seashell, in the original story, the Sea Witch literally cuts out her tongue. And she happily agrees with this. The Sea Witch then gives the mermaid a special little potion that once drunk would turn her fin into beautiful legs. Now, this is described in the original story as being as painful as a sword going right up the middle and splitting you in half. She is also told that once she has legs, that every single step she takes will be like stepping on hundreds of daggers into her feet, and feel as if she is forever walking on knives. And she is also told that if the prince does fall in love and marry someone else, then she will simply die and turn into sea foam. And of course, just like in the Disney film, the Little Mermaid was like, yeah, that sounds like a good deal, I'll take it. So she drinks the potion. She is overcome with soaring pain, feeling as if her body is being split in half. The pain is so bad that she is washed up ashore and discovered by no other than the prince. Of course, the prince thinks that she is absolutely beautiful, and just like in the Disney film, takes her in. But of course, because she hasn't got the ability to speak, it becomes very hard for them to communicate properly. Even though she is completely in love with him, they begin to form more of a a sort of friendly relationship, and he sees her more as a daughter, as he is looking after her because she can't really talk and he feels that he has to look after and protect her. He takes her on many adventures and they have lovely times together, and this makes her fall even more in love with him, but unfortunately his love is not reciprocated in the same way. And while doing all these wonderful things, every single time she takes a single step, it's like hundreds of daggers and knives going into her feet, so she is constantly living in horrible pain. It's also worth mentioning that the prince loves it when the Little Mermaid dances because she's a beautiful dancer, and as soon as she discovers this, she wants to dance for him as often as she can because she knows that he is giving her his undivided attention. Of course, dancing must be the most painful thing in the world, so this just shows how much this mermaid wants to fall in love and become a real human. Unfortunately for our mermaid, the prince soon falls in love with somebody else. Now, back under the sea, her sisters are trying frantically to try and find a way to save her. So they also go to the sea witch and cut off all their hair in exchange for a magical knife. They then swim up to the surface and give this knife to the Little Mermaid. She is told that if she stabs the prince in the heart and lets his blood drip onto her feet, then she would get her fin back and once again become a mermaid. This is the part I love because this is the real message behind the story. She chooses not to do this because her love for the prince is so strong that she would rather die herself than to kill the one she loves. So the mermaid throws the knife into the ocean and goes in after it, expecting to just dissolve into sea foam. Now, this is where there are two different ending versions, and I'm not sure which one is the original. In one of them, she simply turns into sea foam, dies, and ceases to exist. However, in the second version, she doesn't turn into sea foam, she actually turns into air. She is then surrounded by all these people that are called Daughters of the Air, and the way that this is described in the book is very similar to how we see angels. They basically go around spreading goodness and protecting everyone. The Little Mermaid is then told that because she sacrificed her own life for the love of someone else, that if she stays with the Daughters of the Air for 300 years, going around doing good deeds and pretty much being an angel, then she will be able to enter heaven. And that's pretty much the story. So as you can see, there are loads of similarities. However, the message is deeper and darker, and I love the fact that the older stories tend to go a bit more into the pain element rather than these Disney stories just brushing all that off. So let me know if you've enjoyed this video, because there are so many Disney stories that have originated from these older, darker stories, and I would love to go into some more. So let me know what story you would like me to do next in the comments below. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and if you're brand new, why not subscribe by hitting the subscribe button down below. Anyway, that's all from me for today, but I will be back very soon with a new video. Hope you're having lovely days, take care everyone, and I'll be